It's finally come. I'm reviewing Skyrim. And just for an opening impression, what are my feelings about the game? Mixed to positive. It's a very good game, but lacks polish in many areas, and doesn't match the quality of fellow Bethesda RPG Fallout 3, and especially its spin-off Fallout New Vegas. Skyrim takes place in the eponymous province, with a civil war between the Imperial Empire and the Stormcloak Rebellion coinciding with the re-emergence of the dragons, deadly creatures from legend. Their reappearance heralds the return of Alduin the World Eater, and you play the Dovahkiin, or Dragonborn, who is the only person who can stop Alduin from destroying the world. I bought this game for several reasons. My friends spoke very highly of Skyrim, and some people insisted that even though I didn't like its predecessors Oblivion and Morrowind, I would still probably like Skyrim. The game had intrigued me since it came out, and I finally got a computer good enough to run it well. And of course, the most important reason... And Christopher Plummer! After Liam Neeson and Malcolm McDowell in Fallout 3, I'm starting to feel spoilt in terms of actors I love appearing in the games I play. I have never been very interested in fantasy, as I've always been much more into science fiction. Despite this, I like Lord of the Rings, was a big fan of Harry Potter in my tween years, and one of my most beloved novels, The Knoll, is clearly fantasy. As a science fiction lover, I was surprised by how engrossing I found Skyrim. The world of Tamriel is vast and packed with interesting quests, the mythology behind it is rich and intriguing, and the visual design is often breathtaking. The combat, while rather basic, is exciting, and the dragon fights are cool. I also like how organic and self-governing the game world is. One time, a dragon swooped down on me, only for it to be promptly beaten to death by two giants, and another time I witnessed a three-way fight between a dragon, a giant, and a mammoth, and the mammoth won. The music is also wonderfully elegant and atmospheric. But probably my favorite aspect of Skyrim is how you can build a life for your character to an extent. Traveling the land, helping people out, and gathering wealth, fame, and a reputation as a hero, in my case, becoming leader of the Companions, the Archmage of the College of Winterhold, and the Thane of Whiterun and Solitude, though also a wanted fugitive in Markarth with a 30,000 septim bounty on my head, but also buying a house that I can decorate with my loot, was highly gratifying, and served to further immerse me in the game. Skyrim is overall a very fun, rewarding experience. But despite all these points in its favor, Skyrim is a heavily, intricately flawed game. Surprisingly, Skyrim really lacks personality. Most of the characters you meet are somewhat thinly written and not very well defined, and usually only tell you their community's background and what you can do for them, instead of who they are. This isn't helped by the voice acting, which ranges from average to pretty bad. Fallout 3 and New Vegas have much deeper, more detailed, and better established characters who feel far more like real people. In Skyrim, there's nobody as cool as President John Henry Eden, or that lovable crazy bitch Moira Brown in Megaton, or anything as compelling and intimately personal as the companion quests from Boone, Veronica, and others in New Vegas. If Skyrim is to be judged on the strength of its character, then it scores pretty low. For all its immense world and mythology, Skyrim's society isn't thought out very well. Until you reach Solitude and Windhelm, the headquarters of the Imperials and the Stormcloak Rebellion, respectively, the land of Skyrim seems comprised of mostly autonomous and independent territories governed by Jarls, which makes the war between Imperials and Stormcloaks feel too distant. This might have been my fault, though, as completing so many miscellaneous quests may have mangled the pacing. Furthermore, there is no incentive for you to take a side or do anything in the conflict, as joining the Imperials or Stormcloaks is purely optional. Toward the end of the main quest line, the Greybeards host a peace council which you must mediate. General Tullius of the Imperials and Ulfric Stormcloak of the Stormcloaks agree to a temporary truce only until the dragon menace is stopped. In the climax, you do just that, kill Alduin and avert the apocalypse in a disappointingly easy boss fight, but the truce still stands unless you specifically do something to change it and work for one side or the other. The civil war in Skyrim feels inconsequential and not very important as a result, as it's inert unless you do something. And while the game expects you to take a side, it doesn't care if you don't. As such, Skyrim's design may be too open-ended, as a major part of the plot can be ignored, as the game doesn't give you enough of a push to explore it. Skyrim's indifference to its own setting is bewildering. As mentioned before, the combat is satisfying but basic, yet the AI is terrible, most of the dragon shouts aren't very useful, and once you reach around level 12, you're pretty much indestructible. Chivalry Medieval Warfare has much more sophisticated combat mechanics. The game's environments and art design are stunning, but the presentation feels quite primitive compared to most other modern big-budget games, especially with the stiff, wooden character models. Second Sight, an underrated gem from the previous console generation that I reviewed a while ago, has much more lifelike in-engine animations. This is only a minor complaint, but why is the physics engine so awful? Arranging objects in your house is torturously difficult. Skyrim's greatest strength for me, being able to make a life and name for yourself, is also a bit too easy. Becoming Thane of Whiterun for slaying a dragon is fair enough, but after completing the Companions and College of Winterhold quest lines, and becoming the leader of the Companions and the frickin' Archmage, respectively, you're left thinking, is that all it took? I'm in no way qualified to be the Archmage, the leader of a college of wizards, as I used hardly any magic, except regeneration and the dragon shouts, for the entire game, so this title the college gave me is meaningless. The marriage feature is also hardly worth bothering with. There are dozens of eligible men and women you can marry, but all you need to do to court someone is to get their attention with an amulet of Mara and do a task for them. And no matter who you marry, every partner has the same few generic lines, and whatever personality he or she had disappears. You can't really get attached to your Skyrim spouse, as anybody you marry becomes the same bland person. That's just about everything I have to say about Skyrim. It's a fun, engaging, and beautiful game, but it's riddled with pressing flaws, and is therefore a step down in quality from Fallout 3, which I love, and Obsidian Entertainment's Fallout New Vegas, which is even better. Skyrim earns 3.5 stars out of 5. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Spring break forever, bitches.